What's up, everybody? It's Wednesday. It's another co-main event podcast, Patreon live chat. I'm Chad. That's Ben. You are the beloved patrons of the co-main event. And this week, I think a slightly broader listening audience because we're dealing with an interesting situation. We couldn't get the proper done yesterday on Tuesday, the Tuesday after Labor Day. We had conflicting schedules, couldn't get it done. We said, you know what we'll do? We'll come back tomorrow on Wednesday for the live chat, and we will put that up on the normal free co-main event podcast proper feed. So we expect this week to be joined by, let's just say it, the unwashed masses.
Let's
People,
also admit, maybe if we were coming off a massive pay-per-view event, we would have found the time to do the proper. Kind of ain't shit going on
yeah.
over the weekend, and then we're headed into a UFC Fight Night event where you got a decent main event, you got some stuff, but it's an Apex show. We're not exactly gearing it up until next weekend for UFC 306. So, kind of seemed like if there's a week where you take advantage of the 4-day work week, maybe it was this one.
So here we are, perhaps giving a peek behind the Patreon curtain to the listeners over there of the proper. If you like what you hear, this is going on all the time. You
Every
can
week.
come on over to patreon.com/co-main event and join the team. You can listen to this show 4 or 5 times a month for $3. $3 a month. It's a bargain.
Not even money, really.
Anyway, we're also dealing with a limited window here this week. I got to go get my kids from the bus. You got to interview Marab Dwalishvili.
Yeah.
So
I'm
all
sure he'll be
kinds of
on
shit.
time.
All kinds of stuff going on. So let's get into it. Who's first? Let's answer questions, comments, and concerns.
Well, first of all, it does seem like Patreon went ahead and changed up the comment thing again. So now we're back to oldest comment first.
Okay, well,
Newest
that's
comment
good.
at
You
the
know what?
bottom.
I
It
bet they
is.
got a lot of negative commentary.
I'd like to think they did. I'd
Yeah.
like to think that they were bombarded with angry messages, and so they just reverted it. But first this week is Powerhouse Pappas, who notes, I am surprised, motherfuckers. So welcome, and what a happy surprise. Goes on to ask the first question, as is his right. Says, have you seen the John Jones GOAT promo? What the fuck is that? Where is all this coming from? He doesn't have a fight scheduled. UFC 309 is still TBD versus TBD, and no one has been debating Dana's claims that he is the GOAT. This shit is strange. Also, I'm going to the optometrist this week, Chad. I will take your advice and let them help me instead of trying to beat the machine. See, this is some of the best advice you've ever given. That when you go to something like the optometrist office where you are ostensibly there for help, to let them accurately and honestly assess you to see what kind of help you need, resist your urge to try to beat the system, to try to game it, and tell them how bad your eyes really are.
Yeah. This is a sign of maturity that you stop considering medical exams to be a test you try to pass.
Yeah.
That's not what you're there for. You're there to get a diagnostic result. And so you should treat those tests accordingly. I'm sure I've said this before, but the worst part of me getting my glasses when I went to the optometrist, this is even years ago now, the way that they said it when they told me I needed glasses was, well, this kind of thing's pretty common at your age. And I was like, fuck you. What you're supposed to say is, oh my God, we can't believe it. We've never seen someone so young and virile need glasses before.
Strapping young guy like you needs bifocals? Well, this one is for the medical journals.
This is a first for us. I haven't seen the John Jones GOAT promo.
Oh, you should see it. I will
I'm
send it to you.
aware that we still have, let me see if I can find this here. We still have the John Jones GOAT noise on here somewhere, which I
on
believe
the CME soundboard. There you go.
I think that'll show up on the video version. You might not be able to hear it on the audio, but there it is. Anyway, what's the GOAT promo? Does it include the GOAT noise?
I think it does. I think it does include him making the goat noise. But they ran it during the Contender Series, and I saw it on Twitter, people posting it. It feels like an advertisement for an upcoming UFC event, and yet it is not. It never mentions an event. It never mentions anything the UFC can sell other than the idea of John Jones. I watched it. It just John Jones highlights with interspersed with like stats about how many wins in a row, the dominance, how much fight time, how many fights he's won at light heavyweight, all this kind of stuff. all accurate and impressive stuff about John Jones, but it is just an ad for John Jones as a a fighter. And I came away from it being like, wait a minute. Did the UFC just accidentally mess around and promote someone?
Yeah.
Are they doing some fight promotion? The kind of shit we're always saying that they should do? Because, man, is this what it takes?
But
You got
what
to
did
get
it take?
Dana White in an argument with you.
What is going on though? Is there an argument? Did anyone argue with him about this? I mean,
That's the
I think
thing.
the argument was maybe he's not the top pound for pound fighter in the world right now, which is a different argument than is he the greatest of all time. Uh this I agree with Powerhouse Papas. This shit is fucking strange. The extent to which we have now gone all in, if we are the UFC, into ceaselessly reminding us that John Jones is the GOAT. So it's like he has it as a clause in his contract that once a month they need to come out and effusively praise him as the greatest
Oh,
of
it's
all
more than
time.
once a month. More than once a month at this point. You're right, though. I think that it's just that he looks at the pound for pound rankings on the UFC's own website with their own voting panel. And, who they got up there now is the top guy, Islam Makhachev. It's just recency bias, kind of, because people are pointing out, okay, John Jones, he ain't been seen in a little while. And last time we saw him fight at heavyweight versus Cyril Gahn, who was not the guy at heavyweight when John Jones fought him. Impressive one-sided victory, yes, but Cyril Gahn is not the guy. He's not the heavyweight guy. So it's been a while since we saw John Jones against the very best in a division. And it's just been a while since we've seen him fight in general. You know how those ranking systems go. People kind of push you down the list a little bit if other people have done impressive stuff while you've been gone. Now, some of that being gone is injury. We get that. But it's become like sort of a way, it seems, for Dana White to distract us from the Jones versus Stipe question and say, hey, John Jones is the GOAT. Stipe was the greatest heavyweight champion, at least according to the numbers that the UFC ever had. So it makes sense for them to fight each other. Stop asking me about Tom Aspinall. It seems like that's what he's doing. Every time that shit gets brought up, Dana White will find a way to route the conversation toward John Jones being the GOAT. And then we even make this video package to settle an argument that only Dana White is having with himself, it seems. Fine. If that's what it takes to get the UFC to just go out there and promote an individual fighter, whether in the UFC brand, I guess, okay. But it is strange. And the poor overworked video team, imagine they were putting the finishing touches on a slap highlight reel or something. And then Dana White pokes his head in there and be like, give me something about how John Jones is the GOAT. Slams the door. And you go, calls his wife up and be like, I'm not going to be home for dinner again.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dr. Yvette B., the agile archaeologist, who was so close to being first, shows up here second. Ryan Robinson, senior CME Watch Party host, going to start us off with a quote, as he is wont to do. This quote, we're going way back in maybe the first work of literature ever, or only the latest surviving work of literature. It begins, Gilgamesh, where are you hurrying to? You will never find that life for which you are looking. When the gods created man, they allotted him to death. They allotted to him death, but life they retained in their own keeping. And he asks, is it the destination or is it the journey? In the context of MMA, have you ever encountered a fighter who seemed to be interested more in the journey than they were on titles or some externally derived goal? Anyways, my contract's up and recreational weed is legal in Calgary and very strong. All the love to all the people and pets. Noche UFC watch party? Now, you and I had internal discussions about a Noche UFC watch party.
Yeah.
That's next weekend. I'm down.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything going on. Let's
So
get it on the books, I guess.
The journey and destination. I remember having this conversation with Greg Jackson years ago, where I think I said something to the effect of like, "Hey, if you got a fighter and you're seeing the way his career is unfolding, and you're going, this guy's not going to be a champion. He's going to be kind of mid-level, if that. He is not going to make a whole bunch of money, and he's going to basically destroy his body, maybe his brain, in the pursuit of this sport." And do you ever pull them aside and be like, whatever you were going to get out of this, I think you already got it. You might ought to start looking for other things to do with your life. And Greg Jackson was like, look, not everybody is in this for the same reasons. And not everybody is necessarily totally honest with themselves about their reasons. That a lot of people are here for the experience because it's something they wanted to pursue, because they want to be a fighter, not because they want to be a champion or it's all a waste of time. And I think that there's something to be said for that. It's a fine line because you can do this sport. We've seen these people where you do this sport for so long, it becomes your whole life. A lot of them becomes their identity. It just consumes all their time, their days, their years. And then if you wake up one day and you're 37 and you haven't done shit else, and your body has taken a toll, maybe your brain has taken a toll, and you don't have any other work history or anything, and the sport is going to force you out to do something else, and then what is that something else?
Yeah. I mean, I think MMA, maybe more than a lot of professional sports, actually includes people who become professionals who are here to test themselves, are here to like see how far they can go with the skills that they have. Like that's something that fighters at least uh regularly voice as part of their story. I don't know if they're not telling the truth, but I think there are a lot of people uh, who are interested in that aspect of it. And it's a holdover from the sort of more traditional martial arts. Maybe there's less and less of that all the time in the sport. I don't know. Uh, but that does exist. And frankly, there's got to be a lot of fighters out there who know in their heart of hearts that they're not going to be a champion, right? Just like there's a lot of NFL football players, baseball players that after you've been in it for a while, you know that you're not necessarily going to be an all-star, you're not going to be a Hall of Famer, but you're playing the game and you're getting paid for it and you want to hold on to that as long as you can. So I think it's about the journey for a lot of people, to be quite honest.
And maybe the only rational way to approach this is to make it about the journey, because this crazy sport, man, you don't know. You don't know what the destination could end up being. We've seen people where it seemed like they had the ability to be champion, and then just the timing didn't work out, the opportunities didn't work out. You know, their window, it just didn't materialize. And we've seen other people where I would have told you they were never going to be a champion, and it just worked out right for them.
Yeah.
So if you're only in it for that, like, there's a lot of that stuff that's out of your control. So maybe it's the only way to do it. Tim Vanderheiden says, tip for the well-rounded fight fan: if you guys enjoy MMA, hockey, and football, might I interest you in watching box lacrosse, the version of lacrosse that Canadians play on the rinks when there is no ice in the summer. It's quick, it's tough, it's violent, and the action is nonstop. Should appeal to the group of shit-eating wild men. A perfect entry point is the World Championships coming up in Utica, New York in 2.5 weeks. You might even get to see a fellow co-maniac represent the Dutch national team. This is the humblest way I could figure to make this brag. I'm
Wow.
beyond excited to go and rep my country on the biggest stage, and don't worry, I'll bring my Dundasso black belt along, because according to our coach, it's not cheating if the refs don't see it. Tim Vanderheiden is going to bury the lead here.
Yeah,
He's
he really
going
did.
over there to compete in the World Championships of box lacrosse, which, if somebody had just said it to me before, I'd assume it was made up. And this is how he's gonna just kind of sneak it in there at the end of the question. What the hell?
Yeah, well, congrats to him. That's super cool. I am now watching a box lacrosse instructional video on YouTube, and you know, it does look pretty awesome.
I mean, I like the idea, because when I have watched lacrosse, you know, of a Saturday afternoon when it's on ESPN 8, the Ocho or something, you go, all right, big ass field, a lot of room to roam around. If you put them in a tight space, I bet you get a few more confrontations and collisions.
The goal, like they're essentially, it looks like they're wearing hockey outfits. The goalie is decked out in hockey-ish pads. I don't know. It looks cool.
I mean, now I have a rooting interest. I want to see the Dutch national team take it home.
Well, yeah,
I got to keep an eye on this.
we're gonna have to chase that down for sure.
Neil notes that he took his daughter and nephew to the water park and the pool over the weekend, spent both trips wishing a motherfucker would try to move my towel. So there's a throwback to one
Yeah.
of your complaints.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Matthew Ryder says, what are your thoughts on the Oasis reunion? I would say I'm a big fan, but I'm shocked at the hype surrounding it. Anyway, here's Wonderwall.
Yeah, I can't say I'm too interested, right?
I mean, I feel like I can name 2 Oasis songs.
Wonderwall
And the other one.
Champagne Supernova.
That one, yeah.
I did see someone with a sweet burn on social media yesterday saying, "Why would Oasis get back together when any white guy with a guitar will play Wonderwall for you without you even having to ask?" So, thought that was a nice little burn. Kind of missed on Oasis, you know?
I think that maybe at this point the biggest part of the appeal is because there are people who weren't around when Oasis was making music, but who still know how this band was super popular and then broke up because these 2 brothers hated each other.
Yeah.
And so it seems like a classic pro wrestling tag team reunites kind of storyline, where even if you don't like the music, you can get people interested in just the personal drama of it.
Yeah.
The Jesse White Deer says, "Bless up, Kings." So your dude has his first super fight coming up this Saturday. The event will be at my gym, Level Ground Jiu-Jitsu in beautiful Ada, Oklahoma at 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Anyone in the area, slide into me DMs. Do you have any advice? My opponent has been training the same length as me and for what I know is a 10th planet BJJ dude. Do I need to read Eddie Bravo's book to unlock the secrets of 10th planet and weed? Yes. Should I blaze one to match his headspace? Maybe. Or should I, focus on a takedown and go for a basic submission? Best wishes, warm regards, your pal from Oklahoma, the Jesse White Deer. Now, I'm assuming this is a jiu-jitsu match.
That's what it sounds like.
It says super fight, so I don't know, but it sounds to me, if we're doing it 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at a jiu-jitsu gym in the afternoon, I'm gonna assume it's a jiu-jitsu match. I'll tell you what, old Ben Folks here, he read Eddie Bravo's book.
Oh yeah, you did this, and then you went up against the 10th Planet guy, right?
At Grappler's Quest and beat him while Eddie Bravo was right there on the edge of the mat shouting for the dude to get the lockdown. And I was like, I know all about the lockdown, Eddie, and also your DJ career because you managed to squeeze both of those into this book, even though I was only there for one of them. So yeah, I'd say read the book, know what you're getting into. Watch out for those dudes in their rubber guard. They love to do all that shit, mission control, whatnot, all that kind of stuff. But my path to victory was got a takedown, got top position, advanced the position, and just stayed on top. Go for your submissions, work your submission game and everything, but don't sacrifice position on those guys.
Yeah.
That's what they're waiting for.
Seems to me like the whole Eddie Bravo 10th Planet scene has fallen off, right? Because it used to be like it had a hot minute where people were like interested in it, and you would see like MMA guys like going rubber guard, trying to do that stuff. I feel like it's just you don't see it anymore.
Yeah,
Maybe people figured out it was a gimmick.
Well, everything is just in this sport is kind of ebbs and flows, right?
Yeah.
Once people realize they can kick each other in the calf, they don't want to hear about a rubber guard anymore.
That's true. Yeah.
Connor Lewandowski says, how much do you think the UFC is suffering from bad matchmaking? Feels like 10 years ago we had way more clear-cut number one contender fights, and you knew who would fight for the title next. Now we just hear who's getting a title shot and go, okay, yeah, I see how that makes sense. I've thought about this, actually, and I think that it's 2 things mainly. One is that we still see number one contender fights in some divisions. It's just that in other divisions where you have a champion who has made a couple title defenses or maybe has also fought a bunch of those dudes on his way up to the title, and so it's harder to look around and find somebody who seems like a fresh, interesting challenge. So you kind of do have to just go, okay, this guy. But the bigger part of it, I think, is that the UFC's focus is so much more on filling these certain calendar dates and they just kind of have it in their heads. Okay, we got a pay-per-view coming up in this city. This Alex Pereira Khalil Roundtree title fight is a great example. They need a fight for Salt Lake City. They have the date. They're getting the site fees all before they have a main event. Gotta come up with a main event. And typically, the way they do it, main event got to be a title fight. So who do we have? And you're looking around and seeing like, who have we already booked for subsequent events? Who just fought? Who's not available for one reason or another? And the list gets sort of pared down until you are sort of choosing from one or two people who can come in there and defend a title without you having to yank an interim belt or something out of the supply closet. And so then you have a situation where you're going, we need Alex Pereira versus somebody who is a credible title challenger, and we need it to be on this date. And you can ask around for a couple people where it might make sense. And if they say no, they can't do that date for some reason, or they want more time or whatever, then you just keep going on the list until someone says yes. And so it's not that they're, I think, don't care about coming up with number one contender fights or building people up to the title. It's that they got to fill that spot on the calendar. That's the priority for them because they're getting money just to show up and put on the event. And you got to go with whoever you can get at that point.
Yeah, the swelling of the number of UFC events over the last decade or so, it's really broken down a lot of the old rules, a lot of the old systems. And so you're right, you get into this system now where the calendar is king and they just got to put on these events. And they are essentially a content creator now rather than a fight promotion business. And so the fact that they made their name essentially booking the fights that people wanted to see and kind of having a more or less rigid structure around building up to number one contender fights and then title fights, that's gone now. It's been replaced by a much more pragmatic system that is designed around the number of programming hours and events that they need to fill, which is it's a shift in the UFC's business model. It's probably the biggest shift in the UFC's business model over the last 10 years or so. And I'm surprised that people don't talk about it more. I feel like we talk about it a lot on this show. I feel like it's talked about in terms of like oversaturation, but I don't very frequently hear people like put their finger right on the fact that basically the Fox deal and ESPN deal changed everything about the UFC's business model, how they put together fights, and almost like its identity as a company.
Yeah. We have a little bit of a controversy here, Chad. Somebody has tried to game the system by changing their username to Tracy Dickinson.
No,
and
that's low.
And they even start off their question with Tracy Dickinson writes.
However, that's a tell right there. She doesn't write that.
She does not. She also uses her profile picture, so we know what she looks like. She also spells her name Dickinson with an I. Inson. This is Enson. Also, you can note that if I mouse over her name on the Patreon, it'll show us that Tracy Dickinson is paying us in Canadian currency. The real Tracy Dickinson paying us in Canadian currency. This person paying in US dollars. So you have not fooled us. We respect the effort. Tell you what, though, I'm a slot your question for after the real Tracy Dickinson goes later in the show.
Snap. That sounds like a bit of an amateur job. We could have taken more time there to make sure we got it right.
I hesitated to even explain how I knew that it was bullshit because I don't want to help you out next time. I don't want to teach you how to beat the system. Instead, I'll go to this one from Jules Christian, who writes, Grizz won. Notwithstanding the fact that Chad basically said it was an unlosable fixture. See, fixture. That tells you something about maybe how.
Is that what I said?
How Jules Christian is approaching these. You didn't say, but you said they were going to.
I said they should win, but I also said, and I was texting you about this during the game. I also said during Chad's Grizz talk that Southern Missouri, or Missouri State, excuse me, was a team that came from a great conference, and they weren't expected to be very good in that conference, but they had a lot of returning players, and that they were the kind of team that if you took them lightly or you came out flat, they could come back to bite you, that they could surprise you. I feel like I also said at some point that I thought it was going to be closer than people thought, but that might have been, I might have just thought that because there was, as the game was transpiring, things were happening where I was like, I had stuff to say about the Missouri State Bears that I would have said if Ben Folks hadn't cut me off at the end of doing the damn thing last week,
Limited you
because you were like, we've been
40
doing this
straight minutes
for
of
an hour. And I was like, yeah, but I didn't even get to say that the Bears had the top passing offense in the Missouri Valley Conference last year. I didn't even get to say that. And then there they were,
their passing game
tearing
was
up the
legit.
D. But you know what? I'm going to save it for Chad's Grizz talk
I figured
this
you
week
would.
because I've got some thoughts.
Now, Jules Christian goes on with this question where he says, "Has the Ben Folks curse been lifted?" Meaning how yeah, we'll get to that. Just hold on, God damn it.
I feel like people
Wait
don't
until
even
the end
listen.
of the question.
People don't listen to what's
Wait
happening.
until the end of the question, God damn you. I mean, Ben seems to be turning up roses lately all around in life. Plum new Yahoo gig with uncrowned potential, Dana White being nice to him, new girlfriend, discovering easy access to the roof at the party, etc. But what would it take to know for sure if the BF curse is broken? Maybe a barnstorming finish to $20 you never want to see again? So here's Jules, is where I must sadly report I didn't take the money line bet on the Grizz to win because it was like minus 500 odds. And I got a big hole to dig out of. I need some more profitable bets. So I took the points. It was a 14.5 point spread for the Grizz. And they won by what, 4?
Yeah.
So they did not cover. They were kind of lucky to come away with a win in this one. Again, we'll talk all of this tomorrow during Chad's Grizz talk. But the thing I was texting to you, Chad, during the game was, okay, they're up 4. I kind of need a pick 6 here in the final minute, and then for them to kick an onside kick and recover it, and maybe get a field goal out of it or something. Like, it just, everybody else was very, very happy to see Grizz just come away with a win in that one, where I had mixed feelings.
At least you were keeping the faith there toward the end, hoping for the onside kick. You were hoping that a team up by 12 points at that point would kick an onside kick.
I thought it would be a good opportunity for them to work on some special teams.
Yeah. Meanwhile, my other friend that I knew who had the Grizz minus the points was texting me in the first half to be like, they ain't covering this shit. I'm dead.
I mean, you also said, again, more to come. Chad's Grizz talk tomorrow during doing the damn thing. But you were like, the Grizz tend to start slow in the season. They come out a little flat.
Yeah.
And they did. They looked a little flat at times. This one ended up having a little more drama to it than we thought it would. I tell you what, though, you go out there to one of the Grizz games and you get the discounted tickets when you happen to be dating a professor at the university, but they put you way up there at the top. And yet, on a night game like this, that means you get to sit out there, enjoy a Grizz game while you're also enjoying a beautiful sunset.
Yeah.
All over the city. It's quite nice.
I didn't tell you this, but like they appeared to assign me just a random seat, because the seat that I bought, that I clicked on the seat map on the internet site when I bought the ticket, was not even close to where the seat that I actually was sitting in. And frankly, the seat that I was actually sitting in was much better.
Wow.
So I was just like, I'll take it, man, but this is weird.
And you roll over there on your lonesome.
Oh, man, I met the sweetest old guy who was sitting next to me with his whole family, wanted to talk about the game so bad. And I was just like, let's go, brother. I'll bring it. Let's talk about the game.
Bixby Snyder says, "Hey, gents, wondering what your take on the state of women's MMA is at the moment. With the retirement of Nunes, there does not seem to be any stars or momentum for the women's game, and the UFC aren't making an obvious effort to market anyone. Maybe at a push, Alexa Grasso. There are also no female fights at UFC 308. Now, the Alexa Grasso, Valentina Shevchenko trilogy at this point, I can't be the only one who's just like, let's just finish it up, man. Let's finish it up and move on to new business. I understand why we're still doing it, why it makes sense for them to fight again. I feel like once you get me in there ready for that fight to happen, I can get hyped up for it a little bit. But it just seems like we've done it. We've done it a couple times already.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see us move on and do some other stuff. I think that it's easy to tell yourself the state of women's MMA is bad right now. At the interest level is low. But don't you think a lot of that is just that we for years got conditioned to think of bantamweight, 135 pounds, as the glamour division of women's MMA because it was where
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey was, Misha Tate, that old rivalry, Amanda Nunes. It was all those big fights were happening at 135. And for many years before the UFC even took up women's MMA, 135 was where all the action was. And so we kind of got used to that. And maybe it's just like we should be paying more attention to the lighter weight classes now.
That's exactly what I was going to say, was that women's bantamweight historically was like the number one marquee division of women's MMA. And right now it is a trash heap, right? Aside from Kayla Harrison being ascendant, which I find interesting, it's a trash heap, man. Raquel Pennington is your champion. Juliana Pena is your number one contender. Ketlin Vieira, then Kayla, Macy, Chiasson, whatever it is, Irene Aldana, Maria Buena Silva, Holly Holmes, Carol Rosa, Norma Dumont, and Yana Santos is your top 10 there. So not a lot happening there. And then, Grasso Shevchenko over at flyweight, Macy Barber, Aaron Blanchfield, strawweight Tatiana Suarez continues to be kind of interesting to me, even though she just disappears for long stretches, has had a terrible injury situation in her career. Mackenzie Dern, I don't know. It does feel like there's not a lot of super interesting stuff happening.
Connor Hayes says, so Alex Pereira says he's moving back down to 185 to take a crack at DDP once he more than likely left hooks Khalil Rountree's face off. My question is, why? Wouldn't staying at 205 and beating bigger and less talented guys, actually racking up defenses, be more impressive than killing yourself to make 185 only to beat a guy in DDP that could lose to anybody and nobody would be shocked? Am I just overthinking this? Is this just Alex taking Chad's advice of taking the fight that makes you the most money right now? I mean, I could see why he would think about where he's like, hey, I've made 185 before. I was a champion there. I go back down there with my belt. It's a champion versus champion thing. You know how much people love that. And maybe he thinks that leads to big money. I still think Alex Pereira at heavyweight, that would be a much more interesting fight to people. If he could go up there and fight for the heavyweight title against whoever has it, especially if you're thinking about timing wise, right? You're going to fight Khalil Roundtree here in a month. Probably going to beat him, right? You should beat Khalil Roundtree. And then, if you wait a little bit, John Jones was supposedly going to fight Stipe this fall. John Jones is doing everything but telling us, fuck you, I'm not fighting Tom Aspinall. He keeps telling he's going to leave us with blue balls, all this stuff. His legacy is secure. He's not worried about it. That sounds like a guy who is going to retire after this Stipe fight. At least he's going to say that he's going to retire, and then 9 months later, he will be back, mark my words. But then the UFC is going to be looking around. They're going to be like, Big Tommy Aspinall gets promoted from interim champ to actual champ, but he's kind of already fought all the people around him at heavyweight who would have made sense for him to fight in a first real title defense. If I'm Alex Pereira, that's when it would be nice to be sitting around ready to volunteer. Be like, I'll go up and fight that dude. I'll take my title up there so that I get still points on the pay-per-view. Heavyweight champ, that always brings a few extra pay-per-view buys. If you can say it's for the heavyweight title, I think that does way more pay-per-view buys. Alex Pereira versus Big Tommy Aspinall for the heavyweight title, brother, you're canceling plans to watch that one. You don't try to tell me about a school play or nothing. I'm not. You can record it on the phone and I will watch it later. I guess maybe not that many school plays at 10 o'clock at night on Saturday night, but still, I'm watching that fight. That is a big time pay-per-view fight. He'll probably make a lot more money off of a fight like that than he would going down to 185 to fight DDP. Alex has said that he's down. He's willing to go up there to heavyweight. That would seem like a much bigger fight to me. And the timing of it might actually work out for him.
First of all, you telling me what you're going to do after you beat Khalil Roundtree.
Okay, fair point.
Makes me so nervous for Alex Pereira. Shouldn't be talking this way. But I also agree that I don't know that it makes that much sense for him to hang around at light heavyweight, right? It's arguably a more prestigious title than middleweight, or at least historically it has been. But what are you doing at 205? You're fighting Khalil Roundtree and then waiting around for Ankalaev, that doesn't seem that appetizing to me. If I'm Alex Pereira, now I agree. If he can get a fight with gas hands, Tom Aspinall,
Old petrol fist, Tom Aspinall.
then yeah, that would be a big seller up there at heavyweight. I'd do that. But I mean, are we dealing with sort of shades of Randy Couture / George St. Pierre, where you're like, oh wait, who's the champ now? Oh shit, I could beat that guy. I'm going back down, or I'm coming back, whatever. So he might be taking Chael Sonnen's advice, taking the easiest possible fight for the most money, right?
Yeah, the easiest possible fight and all that, but also you still got to make that weight and everything, and he's a big dude. So,
and then you got to beat DDP, which frankly we haven't really seen anyone do yet, despite the fact that we all keep talking about how the next guy is definitely going to do it.
Yeah. Cactus McCoy says, "Dear friends of the CME, take your time and watch out for those who are important to you. It might suddenly be too late, and you don't know what the fuck just happened. Take your time and care for yourself. Watch yourself and talk to others. A friend of mine ended his life, and I'm sitting here the last 2 weeks and trying to realize it. I just can't get it into my mind. Mental health is important. Depression kills. From the too warm and humid flats of northern Germany, Cactus McCoy. Thank you, CME Universe, for helping me to stay calm." That is sad and sobering news, and
Jesus.
a good reminder to us all to not only, appreciate those around us, but to take care of ourselves and to take stock, and to make sure that you're talking to your friends, checking in on your friends, and that can be especially tough, when something like that happens with a friend, because there's a part of you that feels like, could they not have talked to me? Did I not ask the questions I need to ask? Was I not there for them when I needed to be there?
Yeah. Well, that's terrible news, and I'm sorry to hear it for Cactus McCoy and everybody else over there. That's tragedy.
In the northern flats of northern Germany. Ian Yang, how do you spell the name where it's Iaian?
Ian.
I know they do it in like Scotland and whatnot.
I don't know. You were the one who was over there, not me.
Yeah, I didn't ask him. Ian Gordon says, "Warriors. I got myself a Warriors," and then he puts in parentheses, 1979 movie tattoo. No particular reason. I just love that movie. Chad, you seem absolutely resolved not to get a tattoo ever. Ben, I feel like you probably maybe want one, but you're perhaps allowing other people's opinions on you getting your first tattoo during your midlife splendor to hold you back. Now you do you. However, if you did get a tattoo, why not start with one relating to your boy Black Phillip? Yours deliciously, Ian. Oh, he includes a phonetic pronunciation. Ian. Just Ian. Okay. So I was overthinking it. All right, Ian.
I mean, it would be pretty dope if you got a big Black Phillip tattoo on your back. If you had like the back,
get it on my back, like that's
UFC fighter style back piece that goes across the whole thing of a fucking sinister goat.
If you got it on your back, you never really get to see it. You don't get to enjoy it.
I guess that's true. Is it for you though, or is it for others?
For the people, like walking behind me at the beach?
Okay, fair enough.
I mean,
if we've learned anything, isn't it that Ben Folks will do absolutely anything during his midlife? Like, isn't that? I feel like that's the lesson of the last several years. Like,
I'm not a religious man, and I'm not a particularly superstitious man, but even I would have to pause and think about it before getting a tattoo of a devil goat from a movie that I really enjoyed, but a goat that did turn out to be the devil, the actual devil. Like, I don't really believe in the devil or any of that stuff, but still, there would be some part of me that's like, is this a good idea?
Yeah.
Just in the context of understanding the role that the goat plays in the film, would it be wise to get that goat tattooed on your body? I don't know. See, I was having these conversations with some friends the other day about one of our friends who she already has a bunch of tattoos, and she was like, "Sure, I'll get this tattoo, whatever." Like, and you're like, "Yeah, you can do that. You can just throw one on. If you already have 17 tattoos and you go ahead and you throw a Black Phillip on there, no big deal. If I
Yeah.
start with a Black Phillip, though,
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
You might want to think about a 4-leaf clover if this is your
Yeah.
line of reasoning.
Well, then people think I think I'm in like an Irish mob or something.
I feel like once again we've gotten multiple questions that require follow-ups, right? We're going to need to know about the outcome of the box lacrosse
We're gonna
tournament.
need to follow along live with the
We're
box
going to
lacrosse
need to
however we
know
can.
about the Jesse White Deers super fight.
Yeah.
I'm going to need to see a picture of the Warriors tattoo because
Yeah, because that could be a lot of things.
is it like the guy with the bottles on his fingers? He's saying come out and play. Is it like a
Is it like
baseball
the
Furies?
silhouette of like the
Yeah, is
Warriors
it
as they're all kind of walking down the street together?
is it the Warriors logo? Is it the baseball Furies? I don't know. I need to see it.
We all need to see it. That's a given. So you open this door.
Mhm.
Now you got to walk through it. Trent Rhinesmith, the big homie, says thoughts on Dana White reducing live gate estimates for UFC 306 from 25 to 27 million to now 21 million, having more than 1,000 non-resale tickets still available, and the price on the quote cheap seats dropping from $1,657.50 to $907.50. Now we've been hearing a few things recently that seem to suggest that maybe things are not going so great for your boy. Now, this one, I sent this to you via Twitter DM. I think it was last week where I saw this on via at Alan Dawson Sport on Twitter. I think who was at the press conference for maybe the Dana White Contender Series. He said, Dana White told me UFC is now $20 million in the red and counting for production costs that go into the UFC Noche event at the Sphere, which he's really showed us, hasn't he?
I mean, it's starting to seem like maybe the non-existent haters who said the UFC couldn't do a show at the Sphere were right.
No, and no one never said they couldn't do it. They could absolutely do it. It's just that you're doing it and maybe you'll lose money on it. Which, hey, if
you
there's
know what?
ever an MMA promotion that could ever afford to do one event where they lose money, it's the UFC, because they've got so many other ways where they just make tons of money regardless of whether the event is good or bad or whatever. So it'd be fine. They could go ahead, they could do this one time. Everything we're hearing out of the executives at TKO Group Holdings suggests that they have resigned themselves to this being a thing they have to just let Dana White do once and only once. And then they never want to hear about it again. And they're just kind of like, fine, this is Dana White's baby. He wants to do this thing at the Sphere. But it also seems like, hey, I hope you put on a great show. I hope it's a great event, but also maybe it's not going to be quite as wildly profitable as all the other UFC events.
You know what he has done here? He has worked himself into a shoot.
Yep.
Has
That's
Dana
exactly
White.
what he's done.
Shout out also by Trent to Trent, who has been on the ticket sales beat for UFC Noche since the start and really doing a hell of a job keeping us informed that the haters who said Dana White could not do an event at the Sphere were actually correct.
Well, there's also a part of me that is a little bit encouraged that the UFC might be running up against the limits of how much it can jack up these ticket prices.
Yeah.
Because that has been in the last few years, you've just seen that number of like an average ticket price to one of these pay-per-view events get ridiculous. Go from a pretty expensive night out to absolutely ridiculous to the point where you wonder who could possibly be buying these things. Who has this much disposable income for a not even great seat at a UFC pay-per-view event they could just watch on TV and probably get a better view of? And if you're telling me now that maybe they're hitting a point where they've stretched it too far and are realizing you got to reel it back in, I would say good. Because I would want there to be regular people being able to attend some of these events and not just being completely priced out of it.
Yeah.
Moose Mats asked, if y'all were MMA fighters, what would you give each other as nicknames? Alternatively, my fiance wants me to ask what your favorite things about each other are. Now that's sweet. That is sweet of her.
Nickname Ben the bathroom folks, right?
What are you doing right
now? I mean, I feel like it's long been the kid, right? Just in the same way that my nickname has long been the big cat.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be 45 next month.
That's all the better, babyface assassin.
I'll be
All the
out here
better.
like Uriah Faber, like Melvin Guillard, still being the young assassin
Mhm.
well into his 40s. I don't know.
I mean, now that you got this hair going on, I might say big slick. What do you think?
What?
I mean, rolls off the tongue. Ben Big Slick Folks.
You know, I was genuinely touched. I went camping with some of my friends over the weekend on Labor Day, and at some point I went to restock our firewood, and when I came back to bring it and plop it down by the fire, they had put on T-shirts that they had made in secret that had my picture on it, and what I would describe as like a summer camp font. You know, like if you in
Mhm.
like a cartoon, if you go up to the summer camp, like the font that the sign and the wooden sign will be in. It was that
Yeah.
font.
Yeah, I saw the shirts on,
Oh, you saw, yes, on Instagram. And I was just like, for a moment, when they were wearing normal clothes 5 minutes earlier, and then I come back to the fire and they're wearing shirts with my picture on them. And there's a moment where I like, did I suffer a head injury? And I just haven't realized it yet, because
yeah.
this is super strange. And I was just like, you see, this is the kind of friends you need in your life. It's kind of
What are
people
the
who are gonna.
shirts? What did they say?
The shirts said that these are my friends who also will often hang out at the
Oh,
TNC
that's
with
right.
me, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
they
yeah.
they really love the story I wrote for the Pulp, or local publication here, about the TNC. And the shirt said, "I'm friends with the guy who wrote the article about the TNC."
Yeah.
And you know, I never thought I'd be so touched by you know. The other part was, once I saw the shirts and they were like, I was like, when did you even have these made? How long have you? And they were like, it's been the hardest thing we've ever had to do to keep the secret of these shirts.
Uh, well, that is very nice. That is nice.
And it's like, now that the secret's out, now you can wear them all the time. Funerals, job interviews, million uses for it. Billion uses for those shirts. Um, Juan Pablo asks, "Dear gents, not to pry too much into your inner workings, but is the Patreon income generous enough to keep going as your other jobs progress? I love you dudes and wouldn't want to get less of you all." Now we're holding on as is. We're finding the time.
Yeah.
It's not always easy.
It's not easy. So it's sort of an imperfect system at this point, but yeah. I mean, I feel like we've talked about this fairly completely at this point. Uh it's a prison of our own making, but also one that we enjoy, right? We have no real plans to put a cut on the product.
No, and I mean, especially the live chat. Live chat is one of my favorite things I do all week, just because you don't know, man. You really don't know what you're getting into when
No.
you walk into this live chat every week. All right, we're about 50 minutes in. You know what time it is.
It's Tracy time.
The actual Tracy Dickinson writes, "If you haven't seen the video of DC and Habib discussing the barbecue that Habib put on, let me just say that DC ended up going on quite an emotional roller coaster. He walks into the gym and starts off accusing Habib of having a barbecue the other day and not calling him to invite him. Habib immediately protests, telling him, 'I call you,' and gets his phone to prove it. He shows DC a text message thread about it where DC just replied, 'Hey,' with nothing else. Habib proceeds to demand, 'What is this hey?' DC immediately goes from joking around to actual concern when he sees it and asks when it was sent, and then demands to see the number, assuming that Habib had texted a different number. Once he comes to the realization it was actually his number, DC starts asking again when he sent it, so Habib then calls the number and proceeds to show DC how to answer it. DC walks away studying his phone, saying, 'This is crazy,' to which Habib replies, 'Phone remember everything.' All of this is to say, holy crap, I'd forgotten how much I miss seeing interactions between these two, and I still want them to do a reality show together. My actual question is, who between the two of them would be the better at barbecuing? My initial thought was DC, because he looks like he'd appreciate a good cut of meat and probably has a lot of dad barbecue tricks up his sleeve. But then I was thinking Habib would be all about quality and making sure everything's cooked to perfection. Thoughts? And could a barbecue cooking competition between the two of them fill the reality show void for me? Uh, Phone remember everything. That's gonna be up there with this is number one bullshit. Like, I can already see myself when you and I get into an argument or something and one of us has the proof on text message, phone remember everything is definitely gonna be a line that comes up at some point in the future. So,
The
I'm
part
into
about
it.
DC walking into the gym and immediately accusing his friend of having a barbecue that he wasn't invited to, it reminded me of me. I gotta say, I saw myself in that, and I scared me a little bit. Also, what's going on with DC if he's getting these texts and he doesn't remember it, doesn't know about it?
What are you trying to say?
I mean, was he on a bender? Or is it like, has he gotten too old to know how to use his phone? Like, what's the deal?
I mean, in fairness, isn't it kind of a classically dad move to miss out on plans or something just because you couldn't figure out the phone?
Also, in fairness, I bet DC gets a lot of texts.
Yeah, but you would think you gotta have Habib's number saved.
You'd think, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is.
And he just texts, "Hey, what is it? What is that? I'm with Habib on this one. What is this? Hey."
Yeah, phone remember everything.
You know what? And it's like, if ever there's a time for the two of them to have a barbecue show, it's now. Neither one of them got to make weight. You know. As for who would be the better at it, Habib. Well, he seems to be a great one for the busting of chops and whatnot. I think that maybe like if you invited Habib to a barbecue at your house, before you know it, he's going to be telling you all the stuff he thinks you're doing wrong.
Yeah.
And he is not going to take the position that, hey, there's a bunch of different ways to do things, man. And your way is not my way, but that doesn't mean it's the wrong way. That is not the way he seems to approach the world at all. So like you'd kind of got to know that going in.
I mean, I got it. DC is the position answer here. I got to take DC.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, and DC might not give you such a hard time if you want to have a couple cold ones on the barbecue. I don't see Habib joining you for that.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do a little bit of lightning round.
Are we gonna do the question from the other Tracy Dickinson?
Okay. Well, no. First, we'll do Hair Danny Boy the Third says, question for Chad. You mentioned the illustrious Texas Instrument computer on the Power Hour, not the Commodore, not the Macintosh, nor the Intel. No, the TI 99/4, the world's first 16-bit home computer, baby. Way to really make me feel 49. Anyways, I assume your family also owned one of these bad boys. So which games did you play? I had TI Invaders, a Space Invaders ripoff, Jungle Hunt, a Pitfall ripoff. Okay, I played Pitfall. Parsec, MASH, based on the hit TV show, and Video Chess. Video chess. You know where you can also play chess? Is this on anyway? I also learned rudimentary programming skills thanks to their Teach Yourself Basic cartridge, the ancestor of online courses. Anyways, thanks for the trip down memory lane. Cheers.
The only game that I remember that we had was this football game, which I used to play all the time. But some of the games he just mentioned sounded familiar to me, so maybe I also played those.
I remember Pitfall and the Jungle Hunt equivalent like that. I remember it was like one of the first video games that I remember seeing where I was like, okay, this is at least approaching what they do in a arcade style video game kind of thing. But also I remember my friend had a Commodore 64 and his parents did, and he got very excited to tell me once that he had convinced his parents to get a WWF video game for this thing. And then I was so excited to fucking play it because I was like 9 years old or whatever, 9, 10 years old, the height of my WWF pro wrestling fandom. I was like, oh, hell yeah. We're going to have a sleepover. We're going to play this fucking game. And then you'd go to play the game and it would be like, all right, you're Hulk Hogan. You're going up against the Ultimate Warrior. What move you want to use? And you'd be like, press Y for the axe handle smash. And you'd be like, all right, let's fucking axe handle smash this motherfucker. You push Y and then it shows you like a pixelated still screen of Hulk Hogan with his hands up, ready to deliver the axe handle smash. And then it goes to the next screen and it's like, you have axe handled smash the Ultimate Warrior. What would you like to do now? You're like, what the fuck, man? This is not fun.
Come on. It was a different time. It was a different time, technology-wise. All right,
All
I
right.
gotta go meet the bus in a minute.
Okay, last we will finish with this one from the fake Tracy Dickinson, who writes,
It's
Tracy
not Tracy
Dickinson
time.
Tracy
It's not Tracy
Dickinson
time.
writes, did you guys read about Big Turkey Saudi Bo saying he's going to set pay-per-view prices for boxing events at $20, citing that people illegally stream events because the prices are too high, and a much lower pay-per-view price point would actually garner more revenue because it wouldn't be worth the terrible stream quality and buffering to steal it. At $20, the average person would just shell out for the real thing. Smart man. I remember my personal favorite patron, David E. Lauderay. Okay.
I see where we're at.
Okay.
See where we're
You
at?
see what's happened?
Yeah. I mean, he did announce several weeks ago he was making a heel turn, and now this is the most
Honestly,
heelish thing he's done.
I got to give it up to him, man. This is the best heel move thing he's done yet, is to fake as Tracy Dickinson. Oh, man. David E. Lauderay he's thought this through. Anyway, I remember my personal favorite patron, David E. Lauderay, hypothesizing this exact thing a year or two ago, although the response was muted from Chad and Ben, as they thought if the UFC could make more money by charging less, they would. But I personally believe David E. Lauderay was right. Charging less would certainly make me stop streaming because the streams do suck. They could have $20 every pay-per-view from me, but instead they get zero. Anyway, just wanted to jump on to vindicate David E. Lauderay, and if anyone needs a guitar, they should definitely contact him because he has lots of contacts and can usually get a pretty good deal on new or used musical instruments. Quote, with prices as fair as Ben's hair, there's no need to go anywhere else. David E. Lauderay, noted heel and black market guitar salesman.
Bravo, sir.
Wow.
Bravo.
This son of a bitch.
I'm going to stick to my original answer that the UFC probably has metrics to show that it makes more money selling pay-per-views at its current price, or at least before ESPN took over the pricing, we are led to believe, of pay-per-views. But I got to believe that they knew what they were doing, right? It seems like when it comes to the money, they've figured out all the other angles. I have no reason to believe that they didn't figure out the angle on this one.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand from the boxing people trying to figure out something, especially for those guys where they're selling one fight all the time. So if you want to stream an event, like I've said this before, if you want to make your event more and more, not quite stream proof, but make people change their calculation about whether they stream or whether they buy, offer them a full evening of entertainment where they don't want to deal with the buffering and the changing video streams and all this shit, where they just feel like it's worth it to pay more because they want to see 3 hours of shit rather than like 10 minutes of shit. So that's one difference. I also think though that he's on somewhat of the right track to think cost is a big reason why people stream this shit.
Yeah.
And if you lower the cost, you might sell more.
All right. Thanks for the questions, everybody. I got to go meet my kids at the bus. We're back tomorrow with Doing the Damn Thing, and then Friday with the Power Hour. If you're listening to this for free, consider joining up. Patreon.com/co-main event. As for right now, we're done.